How's it going, Rogues Gallery, and welcome to another Flesh and Blood video here on Red Zone Rogue. Today we are talking about the quite surprising scheduled banned and suspended announcement. It had actually been moved a week forward to better help people who are going to be participating in the Pro Tour, giving them that extra week to participate. So let's take a look into this and give you my opinions on what's going on here. There's a lot of stuff going on here. It's pretty crazy, and yeah, our good boy Viserai back here is quite sad. Let's just say that. Viserai, one of my first favorite heroes in Flesh and Blood, is quite, well, maybe not sad. Maybe that's not the right word for it. Maybe honored. Let's say that. Maybe that. So we have the scheduled banned and suspended announcement. It says here it was originally planned for publication on May 2nd with consideration to the possibility that Bravo Star the Show may attain Living Legend status. Well, spoilers, he is not going to attain Living Legend status, and so therefore they pushed it a week ahead, you know, to give Pro Tour New Jersey competitors that extra little bit of time to prepare. All right, so what does that mean? Well, it means we have a lot of shakeups in Class Constructed and definitely in Blitz. Blitz, I think, I don't want to say gets hit harder, but for me, I play a lot more Blitz than Class Constructed. Frankly, I just don't have a ton of time to play a lot of Class Constructed. I play a lot of Blitz, but these Class Constructed bans and suspensions are very interesting. Okay, so here we go. It says that although this announcement has been brought forward a week, the effective date of these changes still remains May 2nd. So it's not effective yet, so any tournaments that happen in the interim currently have the current ban list. But this is just to give people a heads up so they can prep for the Pro Tour. So the following changes are effective from May 2nd, 2022 in Class Constructed. Awakening is just banned now. So this one's a pretty interesting one. The reasoning behind this one is that it's a card that basically makes Tempo almost useless. It is such a swingy card that it can bring you back from the depths of defeat, kind of. It's also very interesting because I've heard top Bravo Star the Show players say that they don't even play Awakening. So, I don't know. I think this hits Oldham pretty hard, too. So, I'm very interested in this one. I'm not sure why it's not suspended. I think it's not suspended because they think it fundamentally breaks a core tenet of the game. That's probably why it's banned and not suspended. They do go over it quite in detail here, and I'd highly recommend you just read through this whole thing because I'm not gonna read this verbatim here. This is just a lot. This is just a lot. I've already read it. We're gonna summarize it a bit. Autumn's Touch is another one that is suspended until Starvo becomes a living legend. And I've seen a lot of people pretty bummed about this because they run this in Oldham and Briar. And so I can get that. You know, I understand that. This is a very interesting ban. I also read a lot of like takes from professional Flesh and Blood players. I think my favorite take is from Matt Rogers, who overall really likes all of these changes. And Matt's probably one of the best Flesh and Blood players in the entire world, and that's not even like that much of a debate. Like, he's just one of the best players in the entire world. And so in terms of this kind of stuff, I take Matt's word higher than other people's. I don't know how to put it, but yeah, I think it's a really interesting choice, right? It doesn't technically ban like any core tenets of the deck, but what it does do is it makes it a little bit more difficult to do that fusion shenanigans, and it's just makes you make different, you know, deck building options here. Because this card, you know, it's just a powerful card, blocks well. You know, it's just an all-around solid card. Bloodsheath Skeleton is suspended until Viserai becomes Living Legend. So this is actually kind of funny because we're going to talk about Viserai in Blitz because, well, we got some things to say about Viserai in Blitz. But this is just basically to prevent, like, the OTK shenanigans, I suppose. Bloodsheath Skeleton just makes certain cards very strong with the OTK shenanigans. I can see this, you know, nerfing Bravo and nerfing Viserai both at the same time makes sense. And a lot of folks are like, oh, why didn't they nerf Prism? Because they didn't nerf Prism at all. And I think that's because certain pro players like Matt Rogers and some, you know, other pro players as well, like Yuki Lee Bender, they were both saying that this actually opens up more aggro decks. So, you know, nerfing Viserai, but Bravo in particular, opens up the meta for more aggro decks, and those aggro decks actually kind of dunk on Prism. Matt was saying that Dash in particular actually dunks on Prism, so that's going to be very interesting to see where the meta goes if these kind of decks become more prevalent and are actually played in the Pro Tour, if Dash is going to have a big showing. It's very, very interesting to see, but that's kind of what you want with a ban like this, right? You want to shake up the meta so much that more decks can enter it, especially like these aggro decks like Dash. Also, it says Seeds of Agony moves from banned to suspended until Chain bound by Shadow becomes Living Legend. This is super interesting because currently the only hero in the entire game that can use Seeds of Agony is Chain. So this kind of tells me that, well, maybe we're going to have another Shadow Runeblade that can use Seeds of Agony. So that's basically what this is telling me, that, you know, once Chain is banned, Seeds comes back into the picture, and then maybe the new Shadow Runeblade is not as busted with Seeds as Chain is. So, yeah, very, very interesting here. It also says suspended cards may be unsuspended earlier than the specified time frame. So what suspension basically means is it's effectively banned for a while. It basically means you can't play it until something happens, right? Until Bravo becomes Living Legend or Viserai becomes Living Legend or whatever. So it's just kind of their way of being like, yeah, we're gonna pump the brakes on this card, but it might come back later, which is an interesting take, and I like it more than like a restricted list. And here we have lots of details in the decision making for the classic constructed changes. I highly recommend just reading it. They go really deep into like why they did this. So like here, for example, Awakening has fallen into a place where it single-handedly trades for the most explosive turns an opponent can unleash for little cost. So yeah, it effectively trades the time and resources an opponent spends setting up their high-impact strategies for devastating retaliation in the form of effectively a 2-cost pulverize. Yeah, that's basically it. It like I was saying, it kind of like nullifies tempo. Your opponent like is doing all these shenanigans to get that advantage, and they're just like, nah, Awakening, pulverize you for 2. Yeah, so I understand this. I definitely understand this. And like I said, for Autumn's Touch, it basically pulls back the consistency and increases the deck construction opportunity cost of enabling Bravo's hero ability. That's more or less what I said, right? That's pretty close. Anyway, let's talk about Blitz. I want to talk about Blitz. This is insane. So, Viserai out of nowhere became Living Legend. Just like, in like the past like couple months, he just absolutely cleaned freaking house, and he's now a Living Legend. Viserai, as opposed to Bravo, is the very first Living Legend in Flesh and Blood. That's crazy. Our boy, God, I can't get this right. There we go. Our boy Viserai is the first Living Legend. I would never have guessed that, but he is quite strong. So I mean, I guess I could see that these days, but back in the day, I never would have seen Viserai becoming Living Legend. So both Viserai and the Nebula Blade can no longer be played in Blitz, and he enters the Living Legend Hall of Fame, which is awesome. The following changes are effective as well. So Awakening is also banned in Blitz. Hardened Crossstrap is banned in Blitz. This is actually really funny because Ian Kenderdine and I were actually just playing some games, and we'll have a video of our gameplay. It's like a sealed gameplay, and we're talking about how good Hardened Crossstrap is, and then it just gets banned, which is kind of hilarious because we're like, yeah, it's just so good. And the reason they're doing this is because it enables gross OTK strategies. Some of them are brute, but I can definitely see some in the future, popping up. And so this is kind of like, headed off at the pass. It's not busted now, but it will be busted, basically, is what they're saying. Seeds of Agony moves from suspended until Chain becomes Living Legend, like we saw. Okay, this is where we get spicy. Snapback is suspended. Sonata Arcanix is suspended. And Stir the Aetherwind is suspended, all until the conclusion of Skirmish Season 5. Until the next scheduled announcement following the conclusion of Skirmish Season 5. So what this tells me, all of this stuff right here, is that they really want to slow down Blitz, because these decks here are all like OTK Wombo combo stuff. Snapback, and which is a card I love, by the way, and Stir the Aetherwind both enable disgusting OTK turns with Wizard, and then Sonata Arcanix. I mean, you know what it does. It does a crap load of damage, or maybe it's just a really good value engine. Sonata Arcanix is kind of like a complete package in a lot of Runeblade decks. And it's just really good in the OTK style deck as well. So this all just tells me that they really want to slow down Blitz, which makes sense because Blitz is really fast. And honestly, I mean, to be completely honest, does anyone enjoy dying on like their second turn? Like on their own turn? Like that's what Wizard does sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. And it's just the least fun I have playing Flesh and Blood, where I'm like, all right, attack you with my Scar for a Scar. And they're like, okay, let me think for 10 minutes. And you're dead. So I kind of welcome these. I don't know about you. I know there's a lot of Wizard stands out there who's like, no, give me the busted stuff. I want to kill you on your second turn. But it's kind of like not super fun. If you're doing it, it's really fun. But if you're just sitting there waiting to die, it's not that fun. just saying. With like limited interactivity, you're like, okay, I'll prevent some arcane damage. Also, this stuff can be really gross with Icelander coming up. So I don't know. We'll see. Also, Stubby Hammers is just banned. It's just straight up banned. Like, starting June... This one's interesting, by the way. June 24th. Not May. June 24th. Which means that this is going to be banned when Uprising comes out. Which is weird. And the reason they're banning this is... Basically, it's... Well, let's take a look. It's like too good, I guess. It enables strategies that are busted. I wonder what's in Uprising that makes Stubby Hammers busted. I do have that Stubby Hammers, like, it's not really an OTK, but kind of like the OTK Shiana deck. So, I don't know. Also, here's all the people who, like, stomped face with Viserai and Blitz. Good job, everyone. Hall of Fame. You're on the channel. Good job. Okay. Blitz changes. Basically the same reason as Class Constructed. Awakening is banned. Sonata Arcanix is causing games to end faster than they would like to see. Yeah, basically this is what I was saying. They want games to be slower, right? And doing this helps facilitate that. Same with... Oh, interesting. So yeah. This is where they talk about Bloodshea Skeleton versus Sonata Arcanix. It's interesting. It's an interesting dichotomy here. Yeah. Kano's able to end the game as early as turn 1. Yeah, I was saying turn 2, but yeah, turn 1 can definitely happen. Yeah, he doesn't win a ton, but it does happen. And when it happens, it's not fun, right? It just happens. Yeah, they think this is more conducive to a better overall player experience. Yeah, that's exactly what I was getting at, right? It's not like super busted because it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does happen, yeah. We're moving to suspend 2 pieces from Kano's repertoire to dampen his explosiveness. And I mean, there's going to be more wizard cards in Uprising, so I mean, maybe you get more tools to play with. Maybe you don't need these cards. Maybe you got some other stuff. The Hardened Cross Trap is a pretty funny one. Is a no questions asked start and play 1-turn kill combo enabler. I don't disagree with this. Because it just makes an attack like free, and you can just do stuff that you wouldn't otherwise be able to do. People were talking about like brute combos where you can do like Blood Rush, Claw, and Smash Face for like a billion damage. And then Stubby Hammers is a very interesting one in my opinion. It says outside of being a strong card in Limited, it's pretty good. As we discover new and exciting design space over time, sometimes it causes old cards to do things that weren't intended at the time of their original printing. So yeah, there's probably some busted thing you can do with Stubby Hammers in Uprising, which means Stubby Hammers Ultimate Pit Fight. Let's do it. I want to see it. I want to see the Stubby Hammers combo and Ultimate Pit Fight because there's nothing banned in Ultimate Pit Fight. Yeah, it's a start and play combo piece that enables OTK decks. I really like them kind of clamping down on these start and play combo pieces. I think that's really good. I also think Bloodshea Skeleton is that as well, a start and play combo piece. I love that card. It's one of my favorite like pieces of equipment in the game. It's so cool, and it was like really my jam for a while, like pre-Monarch, like when I played a lot of OTK Viserai. But I understand that this is for the same reasons why I think sometimes Wizard can be unfun to play against. I think these are also can be unfun to play against. So I understand why they are doing this, especially when it's like, you know, starts in play. You don't have to draw it. It's just part of what you have. And Wizard, at least, they have to draw the things to pop off. Some of these decks are just like, I got it. All I need is like 2 other cards or whatever. So anyway, yeah, this is interesting. I think all of this stuff combined is very healthy for the future of Flesh and Blood. I think the Pro Tour is going to be a lot more exciting because of this, because like I said, it's gonna change things up a bit, and other strategies like aggro strategies are going to be more viable, which I think is just going to be more fun overall. So please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. I know people who play these classes religiously are pretty bummed. Like, I know some people were bummed that Autumn's Touch, like people who play Briar and Oldhim. Same with Awakening. Like, people who play Oldhim, Awakening's kind of, they're kind of bummed. I love Awakening, by the way. If you watch my like top 10 or top 5 videos of Tales of Aria, I put Awakening on my list because I think the card is just really cool. But, you know, I understand why they are doing this. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time for some more Flesh and Blood content. See you later, everyone.